We have Zabu, we have the Spider-Man, we're going to snap. And simple as that, mate. Geezers, what's going on, Specie here? Today we're building the best deck in the game. Of course it's Zabu. We have Spider-Man and Absorbing Man. A lot of people in my comments underestimate how good this combo is. Okay, it can only win you 2 or 4 cubes a lot of the time, but you also don't have to go for this play if you want to try and get more cubes. But winning 2 cubes consistently just means over the course of a lot of games, you're going to be climbing. The key thing with snapping in this deck is we're so all in on Zabu. If we have Zabu, we snap. If we don't have Zabu, we should be folding and only ever really losing 1 cube. We're going to be playing the Dracula and Jubilee combo. This combo is just unbelievable. Really, really fantastic. And as a result of playing these 2 cards, we're going to be playing a whole bunch of big cards. A lot of people make the mistake of putting cheap cards in with Jubilee and Dracula, such as Sunspot. It's going to be a mistake. Sometimes we're skipping turns, but that's only when we miss Zabu. And in games we miss Zabu, we're losing. So Sunspot, realistically, if we draw it on turn 1, is going to play for 3 points because we're going to skip turn 2 and we might also skip 1 energy on turn 5, so it's going to play for up to like 4 points. Not worth it when your Jubilee can hit it. Instead, we're going to just really try and cheese out big stats by playing lots of big cards. This is going to be Infinaut, Magneto, Giganto, and of course my favorite card, Chavez. She's going to increase the odds of us drawing our Zabu on turn 3. We also don't want to be top decking cards like Spider-Man, and Chavez is making it more likely we draw Spider-Man, for example, on turn 5. If we go into turn 4 and we still haven't drawn Zabu, we want to play Jubilee to try and high roll into Zabu. Of course, you can hit things like Spider-Man, and that's really sad. But if that does happen, don't forget the concede button is just a second away. The final thing then to decide on is what other 4-cost cards we're playing. We're not going to play any other 3s. We're not playing Sif and Ghost Rider. You can go for that if you don't have Absorbing Man, but having tested this a lot, I do think that the Lady Sif and the Ghost Rider is a massive mistake. The reason for this is it makes your sequencing very awkward and forced. You don't have that luxury of just holding lots of cards until the last turn. You're forced to play your Sif on turn 5, for example. If you miss Ghost Rider, then the Sif is bad. If you miss Sif, then the Ghost Rider is bad. The ceiling and potential points for the deck increases, but it becomes much more awkward. I've also noticed that Dracula is very frequently going to be missing a big card when you go for that line, and board space in a certain location becomes very awkward because you have your Jubilee, you have your Ghost Rider, so your options of where you can play your cards become so limited. Another thing to mention with this deck is Absorbing Man onto Jubilee. It is an amazing combo. We're so greedy with our big cards that it often can just hit like an Infinaut or a Magneto. So do be careful with your sequencing, that you want to be making sure that you play your Jubilee as like on turn 4, we wanted to go Dracula and then Jubilee, for example, because then on turn 5, if we miss Spider-Man, we can open up turn 5 with Absorbing Man, which is then going to copy Jubilee. The other 4 drops that we're going to be playing is Rockslide. I love this card. Even though I don't own Darkhawk, this card is amazing. Playing this on turn 4, clogging your opponent with rocks is very underrated. Good into Lockjaw, good into Mr. Negative. We're also going to be playing Omega Red. This card is also fantastic. A great option to play on turn 6 with 2 other 4 drops. Cheating out big points into locations which your opponent isn't expecting. It combos really well with Dracula. It combos really well with Spider-Man as well. Finally, the last decision really depends on what Series 5 cards you have. If you have Darkhawk, Darkhawk is going to be the card which slots in here because it can play for up to like 11 points after you play Rockslide. You can also Absorbing Man your Rockslide for more rocks. If you have Shuri, like I do, it's probably going to be Shuri. If you have neither of those, do not panic. Just put a Drax in. You could try Shang-Chi. I personally don't love Shang-Chi in this deck though, because Jubilee into Shang-Chi is very, very poor. Also, a lot of the time, people don't have big cards, and you always want to play your 4 drops in this deck because you don't want Dracula to end up hitting Shang-Chi. So I just prefer going for a Drax. And just to prove that Shuri is not carrying this deck, I'm just going to be playing with Drax. Again, if you have Shuri, if you have Darkhawk, those slot in instead of Drax. But this is the best deck in the game. I do believe it's just better than all-in Darkhawk. It's more consistent. Again, I don't have Darkhawk, so maybe there's like some all-in Darkhawk decks which work a little bit better. But in my opinion, this is the best one. Let's crack on. There's a Kingpin deck. You can go back on the VOD to watch it. I played it for like an hour. But yeah, YouTube thumbnails are weird because I played it out for an hour and then got sick of it, so. Alright, we hit Zabu, we snap. Simple as that. Draw Zabu, we snap. We obviously want to just play it into Citadel as well. Rockslide on turn 4 is going to be particularly nice as well. And we can hold off on the other cards because we can just play so many cards in one turn with Zabu into Citadel. So with this deck, you just take that loss when you don't have Zabu. Yep. You just take the loss. Simple as that. You lose 1 cube. But then when you find Zabu, you're snapping very frequently. So you should be winning more. So they storm us. We just want to secure the bag here. We're going to take the Dracula to the right. That's for sure. We just play both of these cards here. Pretty simple. And then we're just going to go Spider-Man, Absorbing Man. They, of course, will get to see what we do here. Because they have Daredevil. But we don't change anything here. We just play for the 4 cubes. Play to be safe. Now, next turn, we have the option of either playing Magneto or just playing Drax. And then improving the odds of Dracula going through and hitting something big. We don't really care if it hits Drax, so we probably just end up taking the Magneto or the Chavez here. Professor X mid is a possibility from our opponent, I would wager. But yeah, I really don't like Sunspot in this deck because it's really nice to just have a big bunch of big cards. If you imagine like we had Sunspot here, it would be nice because I could have played it, but who cares? It's playing for like 1 point, right? Okay, so Spider-Man of their own goes mid. So the Nightcrawler moving mid, of course, will win them it. Particularly because it gets buffed. Like, we could try and Magneto the Spider-Man away, but the fact that it's buffed is an issue. They, of course, can't play any cards, though. So I would wager our play here is just Magneto. Like, moving the Spider-Man away is still big points. In terms of a tiebreaker. It could also just be Chavez. I mean, Magneto moving Spider-Man is the same amount of points. The concern is if we move JJ in. Which is a 1 in 3. Magneto's better unless I hit the JJ, which is a lot worse. So they're going to be moving the Nightcrawler. So they're at 7 plus 6. They're gaining 6 more points. So they're at 7 points. Plus 6 are at 13. So Chavez is enough for us to just take it here without overcomplicating things. Eight cubes, baby. Yeah, they do need to get rid of it, people. Pup for sure. I do think making Zabu 4 energy fixes it to a certain degree. But yeah, it definitely needs to go. Okay, so Subterranean is actually a pretty bad thing for us. We didn't hold off on the snap, and now this Sunspot is probably going to get out of control. Jubilee looking very dodgy, particularly if Mirror Dimension shows up into Subterranean. Yeah, they probably should have run away with our snap on turn 1 here, which suggests we have Zabu, but Subterranean works out for them. Running away is still a consideration. I'm going to greed it and just stay in just to see if we can avoid more rocks. We've only drawn 1 so far. Okay, pretty interesting board state because this could go to flooding as well. We certainly want to play the Drax. The Jubilee's a risk because of the amount of rocks in our deck. The Omega Red is not going to go through those, so it's just a 5-point play. We're going to be playing Jubilee next turn if we don't go for it this turn, so I figure we just go for it now. Try and secure a lane. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Now the question is, do we play into the flooded lane on the right or not? Well, this gives us Jubilee. I would wager we go for it. We should play this in case we hit Drax. Or Dracula, I should say. Not Drax. Dracula. Pretty good chance we hit a rock, of course, this time. But they didn't play anything, which is surprising. Okay, GG. Why not Omega Red mid? It's flooded. I can't. The other thing I might try and do is like film an intro for this deck while I'm playing. Does that make sense? Kind of intrigued by how that would work out. Alright, we fold. We have no Zabu, we get snapped on, guys. It's a fold. It's as simple as that. Okay, we have Spider-Man, Absorbing Man. We have the Jubilee to try and high roll the Zabu. But we are skipping the first couple turns anyway. We hit the Zabu, we can snap. We're just going to wait a turn, I guess. Let's get the Zabu into Mojo Wall because the body there's relevant. Generally, I like snapping before turn 3 with Zabu just because snapping on turn 3 kind of makes Zabu more predictable. We, of course, want to play the Rockslide this turn. The sooner we play the Rockslide, the better. Again, I quite like the idea of just getting more bodies in here. Having said that, we're going to probably play Jubilee this turn. So let's go Rockslide off to there and Jubilee mid. Jubilee, and then we're going to just probably go Spider-Man, Absorbing Man. But we do have the option of not going for that. And again, why would we want a Sunspot here, right? We could have played a Sunspot on turn 1 if we drew it on turn 1. And it would currently have played for 3 points, going up to 4. Which is nice, but it also is got a huge potential of messing up our Jubilee or our Dracula. I'd replace Drax with Jessica or Crossbones. No, I prefer Drax quite a bit to both of those. Okay, so my plan was to Spider-Man mid, but of course we're not going to go for that anymore. And we are quite threatened by their points potentially, so we are just definitely going to be playing Spider-Man, Absorbing Man here. Just take the 2-cube win. We could try to cheat out more stats, more points, more victories by playing it slightly differently. But yeah, we're more than happy. And as you can see, we've always got enough 4-drops to play, and we've got plenty of big boys as well. So they actually just concede. Same opponent. We have Zabu. We have the Spider-Man. We're going to snap. And simple as that, mate. Same opponent again. Now, what we could consider doing is just snapping on them and bluffing that we have Zabu, because they might just fold again. No need to bluff. The turn 2 snap. Now, our opponent does play Iceman, so it's possible we could have waited just in case they Iceman our Zabu. But the odds of that actually happening are very slim. Pretty difficult. Zabu in hand. It's a snap. It really is that simple, ladies and gents. We're not going to win every game, of course, but we're going to win way more than 50% of the games. And when we don't draw it, which happens in about 45% of games, by turn 3 we won't have him. We just fold and lose a cube. I should get Darkhawk. I only have 6,000 tokens left. I'd rather save it for something more exciting. So we're certainly going to play the Rockslide. We have pretty good intel over what kind of deck they are with the fact we got their Taskmaster. Little bit concerned about that. They might be scared of us having Shang-Chi though. Yeah, we snap without Spidey. We literally just snap on Zabu. It works out on average. Okay, so we probably just try and find the Spidey here for compound. I actually just can't. Oh, I was gonna say I kind of like the idea of filling this up. Maybe I don't. Actually, I take that back. Let's Rockslide and then Jubilee. And again, the ordering is important here. Because Jubilee, we can now copy with Absorbing Man, right? And we do hit the Spidey, perfect. So Absorbing Man still hits Jubilee, in case you weren't aware. Bit of an awkward one. It's a board space. I guess we just take the Absorbing Man onto the Jubilee rather than the Omega Red. Omega Red doesn't get us ahead, so Dracula would be nicer. That's a little on the sad side. So this is an example where like we actually drew too many big boys basically, which is a bit of a pain. We just play to get ahead in the middle location, though. The concern here is if they have She-Hulk, Taskmaster. So if they have She-Hulk, Taskmaster, we know they have Taskmaster. If there's She-Hulk, they have 20 points in 2 lanes. Seems like a run, doesn't it? They're going to play 1 to the right to take their... Can we get 20? Even Giganto to the left wouldn't get us there. We should run. Us locking them out of compound didn't even prove to be good. We actually just low-rolled like the Jubilees quite a bit here. We needed big points. It looked like the Spider-Man hit's really good, but if they have She-Hulk, we lose. So it's a sensible concede here, because if they don't have She-Hulk, they probably run anyway. And it's just going to be a tie. It's not going to say tie. We just have to like track if the cubes went down or not. And they did, so they probably had the She-Hulk. Zabu in hand, it's a snap. Again, we lost the last game when we snapped so early with Zabu. It's going to happen. But on average, it's just going to net you cubes. You definitely just never want to snap after playing Zabu. It's just... I mean, unless you play Zabu on like turn 4 or turn 5, right? But if you're playing Zabu on 3, you should be snapping before you play your Zabu, without doubt. So we can go like Dracula, Omega Red this turn, perhaps. Storm, really good news for us. Dracula and Omega Red just looks very, very solid. If we find Rockslide, we will play that most likely, though. Interestingly, we could do this. It makes a lot of sense. I think we actually give up the middle lane entirely. So I'm at 6 points, plus this would put me at 12. It wouldn't get me ahead of the Scorpion. But we're going to Spider-Man. I guess ongoing effects are disabled, so... Let's just go Omega Red here. This locks them out of the vault. They can't play anything more in the vault. And we're then just going to Absorbing Man the Isle of Silence. So the order I played these, very important. Fortunately, the Omega Red isn't quite going through, but that's neither really here nor there. We want to hit a 4-cost card here. And we do. Oh, I'm talking rubbish. We didn't really care. So we go Absorbing Man. The question is, do we go Jubilee or Dracula? Jubilee could hit Chavez, which would be good, because then I can play Dracula plus a card. So the order I played Spider-Man here, very important. We just decided to bin off the middle lane. We should bear in mind that they can still move Nightcrawler here, but that's all they can do. Easy peasy. Okay, our Zabu got discarded, so their Hela got discarded. Alright. Changed. Realistically, we should just concede to save ourselves some time when Zabu gets discarded, but the fact they lost their Hela, we're going to try and hold on. How's my trip to US? Hey, PC. I've not been to US yet. I'm going in like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. So, Rockslide earlier does make sense, but at this point we just need to greed points. So we're going to go Jubilee, Absorbing Man. I'm just going to fold. Like, honestly, we could still be winning here, but... There he is. And we snap. Simple. Especially with Spidey Absorbing Man. Of course we can't Spidey Absorbing Man Dark Dimension. We want to play Rockslide. We should be a little bit scared of Leech, but we don't need to be scared of Leech just yet, I guess. Okay, so I got very greedy here by not playing many cards, and I got punished. Big time punished. So we should just be happy to concede this game. Okay, unfortunately they play a card to the right. I was banking on Spider-Man just winning us this one. But yeah, this is Without that, I concede. It happens. You don't win every game when you have Zabu, but you certainly win more than 50% of them, so you should still be snapping. We get snapped on, and guess what? I don't have Zabu, so I'm folding. It's tempting to stay in here, and so I might draw it. Just fold, just lose a cube. Happy days, move on, who cares? Jesus. Hey, Vibros. So I'm going to play Odin, which I'm not ahead of. Easy concede. Okay, the snap here is a little risky because if our opponent has Darkhawk, this is very bad. But we have like a very playable hand for a long time. See you, Enver. With Cerebro, like, you're happy to hit Cerebro on turn 6, but you don't want Zabu on turn 6, right? We've been high rolling considering Subterranean's up. Probably a bad position for me to play my Zabu because it's not getting me ahead as well. Well, we are getting very lucky with the card draws. Let's go for a Rockslide. Dracula. We don't want to play Omega Red or Drax until we have more information later down the line. And they didn't snap on this again, which just is very, very odd. We should certainly play the Rock because of Dracula. I'm going to play the Omega Red mid at this point. We're going to try and Magneto this Wong away here. Nice. And we go mid because it fills up the Wong lane. If I could snap again, I would. Like, with all these big boys, the Enchantress has just not done that much. GG. Very easy win. Okay, TVA is a little scary, to be honest. But we can still play like 2/4s. At the moment it's Rockslide Absorber Man. Hopefully we find Jubilee. We probably don't play Zabu here because it doesn't get us ahead. Dracula's a bit of a money card, isn't it? So it's going to be Dracula Rockslide. I think we can stay in now that we've hit Dracula. I'm not really too concerned. I mean, no, you just make it 4 costs, but you could probably even, like, kick some power off of it still. Card's just insanely busted. So yeah, unfortunately we're not doing very well at this point. But we do have big points. Jubilee would be amazing. Nice. Jubilee could whiff, of course. There's not really much to whiff on. Spider-Man would be the worst hit. It's Magneto. There is Chavez. Drax. Dracula, of course, could whiff and hit Absorber Man. They actually run. I'm very surprised. But okay, thanks.